Hey, I'm Anthony O'Connell, Upper Feast, here today with one of my favorite ice cream restaurateurs, Jenny of Jenny's Splendid Ice Cream. Jenny, hey there, how you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you? It's a beautiful fall day.
It really is. But I eat ice cream year round because I'm not a coward, so I feel like.
That's a very good way to put it.
um, so
I
this,
do too, obviously.
of course. So I think if you want, we can just jump right into it. I like to start with a quick little game of feast or pass, and I'll ask you some random food questions and see if you'd feast or pass and why.
Okay.
So the first one is a little polarizing. Foie gras.
Oh, feast.
Feast?
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Oh yeah. No, yeah, yeah.
It's
I
delicious.
like historical foods too. So, I know there's some controversy in certain, in how they're fed and all of that, the ducks mostly, but anyway, whatever. You know what I mean? I think you can do it relatively humanely as well. And yeah, no, I would feast.
Awesome. Yeah, I think you
However, it's not something I would make at home. I don't
fair
wanna know anything else besides that, right?
enough.
I
Right.
do make, like, chicken liver mousse with Julia Child's recipe, which is I could eat the whole thing myself, and it's so many calories,
It is.
and I
Yeah,
make it with whiskey, Middle West whiskey.
I'm into that. Julia Child's she's one of the greats of all time. Like she's anything she does, big feast for me.
Same.
Now what about polar opposite end of the spectrum here? American cheese product. Just like the little yellow cheese you get in that weird little plastic thing.
Okay, that's a for sure feast for me, and I will tell you, like, Land O'Lakes from the deli, American cheese. It doesn't matter if you get white or yellow.
Yeah,
But yes, for that. And that's definitely like for grilled cheese, for hamburgers, right? For cheeseburgers.
right.
No way would I pass it up. In fact, when somebody, like, my mom just made us hamburgers the other day. She lives here with us right now, and she had to put like regular, sharp cheddar on it, and I was like, forget it. I just have a hamburger. But yeah, no, I'm good. Or even like Velveeta, like all Sean Brock, who's a chef, an amazing chef from the South. James Beard Award, like, just amazing guy, calls Velveeta a heritage food. And I'm like, okay, if that's how you give it a pass, I'm all in, because you can't make the green bean casserole without Velveeta.
That's true. And it gets a lot of hate and people make fun of it, but like what you said, for grilled cheese or for a cheeseburger, it's pretty iconic. You can't really beat it.
Totally.
Um, what about another little polarizing one? Veal, like a veal parmesan. Would you do a veal parm?
Yeah, I would. I'm not so I will say, like, schnitzel and like pounded breaded meat is,
Uh-huh.
like, first of all, one of my specialties, and I love it. Um, I would rather go with pork, or if you really want to make me happy, pork neck.
Mm.
So I don't know, man. They take the neck, I guess, and slice it really thin, but it has like the perfect fat. You know who will do this is um Thurns, down in German Village, and they're the ones that turned me on to this. So then you pound that out really thin and bread it, and then fry it in shallow, like, butter and olive oil. That is way better. So I would just go with that. I would go with that.
Fair enough. That's what's up. Now, last one for the feast or pass category. Eel sushi.
Oh, eel is the easy one for me. Like, I love eel because it's like, I mean, yeah, I definitely love eel. Eel is just, I mean, it has a texture of fish. It's not that, it's like a long fish, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I've actually been in Greece. I spent a summer in Greece when I was young. I mean, this was an interesting summer. I took $500. That's all I could save. And I
Uh-huh.
went to Greece for 8 weeks and lived off of $500,
Oh my
which
God.
meant that, like, I was like, hanging out with people who literally lived in camped by the sea, and would go get eels out of the water and cook them over campfire. And that would be like how I would eat sometimes on that amazing trip. But no, eel is good. You just don't want to watch it being skinned because it's pretty sick.
Yeah, that's my problem. So like I love all sushi. So the reason I specified eel is because eel's one of those things where when I eat it, I just picture the actual animal and it freaks me out and I get a little grossed out. But it does taste
What
good.
grosses me out though, and everybody loves, and this is like culinary, like, is sea urchin. So I can't eat this. It just reminds me of eating someone, like, a human's tongue. It's just gross. It's so gross to me. But I was in a little I was on a chef thing in Italy one time, and they did sea urchin soup. I love the the flavor of it. I just can't handle that texture.
Fair enough.
It's one of my passes, but eel is fine.
Eel, okay, cool. And then so the next thing we do is we do it rate it 1 to feast, which is like a 1 to 5 scale, but we say feast for fun because I run the upper feast account.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, a little casual little branding here, but Hawaiian pizza, 1 to feast. So like if it sucks, say like 1 or 2. If you're meh, 3 or 4. If it's amazing, feast.
I'm gonna go with a 4 on that one. I love Hawaiian pizza, but I've got to reserve like feast for like the super top. I wouldn't put it in the super top, but I've had some pretty amazing Hawaiian pizzas, and if it shows up at my house from Donato's or wherever local, I will always have 2 or 3 pieces of that in addition to whatever else. So
I love it. I feel like it's all just like yes, yes, yes. I'm really into that. That's
I
great.
mean, I like flavor and food.
So what about a power ranking of soft serve ice cream, gelato, and frozen custard? What's your gold, silver, and bronze for the?
Oh, okay. And you're not including American hard body ice cream, which is what I make.
I know
So
you would say that one for sure, probably.
we're gonna go with that one's number 1. Okay. So wait, we're talking about regular soft serve, and because I'm in ice cream, this is not an easy question. So there's like Dairy Queen soft serve, which is actually relatively creamy. Now, I'm not going to get into how they do that. I have no idea how they do that. It might be some vegetable oils. It might be full on dairy. I have no idea. That's totally fine. And then there's frozen, but there's levels. So some of the smaller, soft serves can be a bit icy, whereas I think like Dairy Queen's is more smooth. And then if you're talking about American gelato, which has no federal standards, and like, let's say you buy it at the grocery store and you have like American gelato, even like any of it, mostly from the grocery store, a lot of times it's going to have some kind of vegetable fat in it, vegetable oil, because those freeze in a way that's, you'll notice it now when you eat it. So it's super smooth because that's how vegetable oil, certain ones, will freeze, but it leaves like a film on your palate. Okay, so that contrasted with what you actually have it like in let's say Sorbetto di Castiglione or whatever in Bologna, which is an incredible gelateria in Bologna that I've been to several times, and it's just mind blowing. So there are levels within all of those that could be 1, 2, and 3 for all of them. And of course, I grew up in Peoria, Illinois, which meant Wisconsin and St. Louis were like, I was like sandwiched by them. That is the hub of frozen custard in the United States. So, if it's well made, every one of those is going to be at the very top, right?
Yeah.
And every one of them can also be at the very bottom. So I just went around that question. Now, if I had to eat one today, I would say, it's really hard unless I could actually get to Italy. I'm not going to go with gelato because I just haven't found one and where I could have access to it that I think is at the number 3 level or whatever. So I would rank them. I'd probably go with frozen custard first, then soft serve, and then gelato. But I mean, that is weird because I'm talking about that from my place here.
Gotcha.
Clearly, if it's a well-made gelato, I'm going for that first.
So you think if they're all number 1, if they're all like elite,
they're all at their top of their game, I'm going to go with, let's do it like that. If it's all at the top of the game, I'm going to go gelato, custard, then soft serve.
Awesome. Fair enough. I personally put soft serve first, maybe just because I've never had the real authentic, like I've had like Talenti gelato, and like when I lived in New York City, I had gelato from a couple places. So I don't know how authentic it was, but yeah, gelato is very good. Don't get me wrong. But for me, it's probably second or third. And then talk about you specifically. I did a little Google and saw on Wikipedia that you dropped out of college to follow your dreams. And I think that's really
I don't think I have a Wikipedia page. You got that from the Jennies?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny because I've always I feel like I'm the only one that follows the rules there. Like I see people like that I don't even know who like clearly have made their own Wikipedia page, and I think it's so funny because I have I have kids who write to me who are doing projects on me, and I think it's so funny, but like I don't actually have a Wikipedia page. But anyway, but yes, through a little bit through the company.
So yeah, it said that you dropped out of college to follow your dreams. Like that takes a lot of guts. Like what made you believe in your product so much, or were you a little burnt out on school? Like was it a whole culmination of things?
People will say it takes guts, but for me, this is true. For me, well, first of all, I didn't have family telling me that I was stupid for doing that. And so that would have taken guts, I think, if you had to go against your entire family because they had been paying for it and blah, blah, blah. That would take a lot of guts. But for me, it actually would take more guts for me to actually like acquiesce and be like, yes, no, I should definitely become an accountant first, just to be safe. I would feel out of my element. I would feel I was in the wrong life every day that I woke up, and it would probably make me want to throw up. It would not be for me, right? And so living an inauthentic life to me takes more guts than actually just going for it. And now that, I lived off minimum wage for most of my life. So, this was not an easy thing to get off the ground. I mean, of course, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't realize that like building an ice cream company that can compete with Ben and Jerry's is going to be like as brutal as it is. Like, of course it is. Of course it's going to be brutal. These are massive companies that have a lot at stake, right? Awesome, right? So now I get to do this, but it takes 20 something years, right?
Right.
So I have literally been on an adventure equal to Frodo, I think. And anyway, I'm glad I did it, but like it wasn't as easy as I thought, or even as fun as I thought, although it has been pretty fun.
Well, and also I really believe that since you didn't have a safety net of, say, an accountant degree or whatever degree you would have had, I think you had to do it. Because if you had a safety net
Oh,
at that point,
exactly.
you just would have been a
Right.
normal person working a normal job. So,
That's why you got to just jump in, because you know what? Now everybody knows you're doing it, and you just got to keep going, right? You have to keep going. You can't just like turn around. I think I similarly, like whenever I want to do something, whenever I'm like, deciding something, whether it's writing a book or making just some project that's big, it's going to be all consuming. I'm the kind of person that tells everyone I know, oh, by the way, you know what I'm doing, da, da, da. And to the point where they're like, whatever, Jeni, like they get annoyed with me because I'm like, I want everyone to know that I'm going to do it, because it puts me on the hook for
yeah,
doing it, right? Because then in a year, when I see them again, or 6 months or 2 weeks, they're going to be like, did you do it? And my answer to them can't be, nah.
right.
Like, you can't do that. You got to be like, well, yeah, or whatever. So
Little
I'm
societal
not
pressure,
easy
nothing wrong with that.
yeah.